If you want to talk about a protagonist that hasn't had things going his way, then Isaac Clarke is your man. Just a simple space engineer, he has found himself stranded on a derelict vessel swarming with undead monstrosities, discovered that his girlfriend died before he could save her, found himself a guinea pig for building religious symbols that cause outbreaks of said undead creatures, and he suffers from deadly hallucinations. So basically, the dude just can't catch a break. And that was just over the course of the first two Dead Space titles. But here I am, taking a look at the third and possibly the final entry to the highly critically acclaimed Dead Space series. So as I take a look at the newest entry to this saga of horrifying and macabre imagery, what is my verdict of this title? Well, it looks like it's time to grab my rig and dive headfirst back into the madness. This game begins with Isaac Clarke living at a space colony on the moon 3 years after Dead Space 2. And he is done trying to stop the Unitarians, he is done fighting the Necromorphs, he is just done. However, much like most protagonists in this situation, every time he thinks he's out, they pull him back in. Who are they? They are Captain Robert Norton and Sergeant John Carver. They inform him that they're the last of Earth's defenses and that he's their only hope for stopping another potential Necromorph outbreak. Isaac reluctantly agrees once they mention that his former girlfriend Ellie was a part of a research team tasked with studying the origin of the markers. After fighting his way past fanatical unitologists, their leader, a man by the name of Jacob Danik, activates a marker on the colony and causes yet another Necromorph outbreak. Gee, could things possibly get any worse? Well, once Isaac manages to escape, he learns of a planet suspected to be the homeworld of the markers. This planet, named Tau Volantis, is where Isaac finds his friend and former lover apparently, Ellie, who... Wait, wasn't she missing in a... Oh, we're just not gonna bring that up? Okay, nope, fine, that's fine. Yep, moving on, I guess. Once reunited, it's up to Isaac, Ellie, and their team of scientists and soldiers to find the origin of the markers and hopefully stop this nightmare once and for all. But will they be successful? Actually, no. Right at the end of the final boss battle, the game blue screens and gives you the middle finger. That is a joke. But this time around, there is also a co-op mode. This mode allows for you and another player to play as both Isaac and Sergeant Carver. These missions supposedly give a much more detailed experience and also allow for some very intense moments. Now, I was going to play this mode, but here's a dramatic reenactment of why I couldn't. Oh boy, I can't wait to play Dead Space 3 cooperatively. Let me just... Oh, you can only play online? Oh, well, that's a bit odd, but oh well, let's see if any of my friends have this game. What? I need a pass to play online co-op because I didn't buy the game new? Okay, well, how much is it? $10. Oh, that's rich. Okay. I get that many companies wish to protect their product, and forcing players to pay for online passes if they don't buy their games brand new is one way of doing it. I don't like this practice, but at least I get it. However, the fine gentlemen at EA expect me to pay $10 on top of what I already pay for Xbox Live for a feature that could have very easily been made to play locally off my system? Fuck that and fuck you. Moving on. The gameplay for this title at a base level is fairly similar to the first two titles. The camera is mounted over Isaac's right shoulder and you must shoot the limbs off Necromorphs to survive. But things get a bit more interesting with the addition of crafting. Instead of finding nodes to power up your weapons and armor, you instead find spare parts which you use to customize weapons to your liking. You will be granted a scavenger bot shortly into the game that can be used to find spare parts for you and will be returned to a workbench as soon as they gather all the parts in the area. But aside from customizing stock weapons such as the plasma cutter and line gun, you can completely build weapons from scratch. Want a weapon that arcs lightning and fires rockets? No problem. Need some literal firepower with acid corrosion? Consider it done. Along with this, you get to apply upgrades to your rig individually. So rather than different suits having different aspects, all suits have the same upgrades, and you can choose whichever one is most aesthetically pleasing. The enemies this time around are mostly the same, but there are a few additions here and there. Along with fighting against unitologist soldiers, you also must deal with the perils on the harshly cold Tau Volantis, which means that you get to deal with necromorphs that pop out of the snow, petrified remains of miners, and even skeletal remains of those who were desperate enough to eat necromorph flesh. Overall, this campaign spans 19 chapters and should take you around 15 hours to complete. But is this horrific fight for survival against the necromorphs really worth your time, and more importantly, your money? Well, now for the reviewing. These graphics are fantastic. Although the necromorph designs haven't changed much, they all do show a great amount of polish, and even the non-abominated characters show a great amount of detail. But let's not forget about the environments. Whether propelling yourself through space, lurking through the ruins of derelict ships, or braving the weather on Tau Volantis, the developers took exceptional care in making everything look breathtakingly beautiful. But what had me really impressed with this game was the gameplay as a whole. Now, the fighting and general movements are all very smooth and cooperative, to the point where there are very little deaths that seem unfair. That is, of course, unless those annoying pricks back you up into a wall and don't let you reload. Rotting bastards. But what I found most impressive is the gradual incline in difficulty. Many games, including Dead Space 2 in my opinion, have trouble in balancing out the difficulty to the point where the game may be too difficult off the bat, or even worse, too easy all the way through. This game, however, has a very gradual incline in the difficulty. It starts off easy enough, but by the time the enemies start to get really tough, you've had enough time to prepare yourself for them by upgrading your armor and weapons, not to mention honing your skills to the point where you're ready for them. Now, you may be wondering why I bring up such a simple aspect of gaming in this review. Well, it's very simple. So simple, in fact, it's a wonder why many games can't seem to get this aspect right, even today. However, I do have one problem with this game. There is not a very strong horror element. Sure, the necromorphs will pop out and surprise you, and there are moments in which Isaac is suffering from his contact with the markers, but overall, there isn't that lurking feeling of dread that the other two titles provided. In fact, I've played the first DLC for this game, titled Awakening, and that DLC has more horror elements than almost the entirety of this game. But this flaw aside, can I recommend this title? Well, if you played the other two games, then I would absolutely recommend checking this one out. Now, if you haven't played the other two and for some strange reason decide I'm playing this one, well, you go right ahead, but good luck on deciphering what the hell is going on. Seriously, I've beat all the games and I'm still not entirely sure. So until we meet again, this is E-Dog, gamer, engineer, and savior of the galaxy. Again. See you next time.